why you dey fight to Dubai? All the way from Nigeria to just go venture for Dubai. I travel to America just to go catch my phone.
Today, the National Assembly has announced that they will be voting on constitutional amendments. This bill basically seeks to promote inclusion, and young people should participate in the political process as a way of giving them the opportunity to contribute to national development.
Take your message to the Senate. The Senate is sensitive about the Nigerian youth, and I want to say that there is no other group in this country that have the capacity to build a new Nigeria than this state bracket. Bob Marley lived 31 years. Today we can see his song, music being sung all over the world. Jesus Christ lived on earth for 33 years. As a youth, today we can see his followership. Prophet Muhammad was coming to prophethood at the age of 40. Today we can see his followership. Shakespeare wrote his most famous book at the age of 25. As the youth propounded the law of motion at the age of 23. So there is something dynamic for those.
And I assure you, without the support of the Senate President, without the support of the Speaker, there is just no way that we will have been able to take this bill to this level. Why am I congratulating you? I am congratulating you because this is a clear case of democracy working. This bill is a bill generated by you. I have only provided you with legislative support in the Senate. The honorable member has only provided you with legislative support in the House of Reps. But I assure you that this is a bill that came from you. How is it a bill that came from you? This bill is an extra of the gift that you people gave me.
Continue to press on until this bill becomes a reality. Until we are able to see young people in the state parliament. We're not to see the old people away, but we want to learn from the old people. So they have to give us the opportunity to join them in debating the future of this country. The future of this country cannot be debated in isolation. You cannot be in a house, in your homes, while 60 years and 70 years old people are determining your future.
After being addressed right here in the National Assembly, the youth seems to be calm. The not too hard to run bill when passed into law will give hope to million youth across the country.
Well, it's going to be, we're going to commence our voting process tomorrow. It's back on the table. It was initially not on the table, but it's back. It's going to be one of those things that we're going to vote on tomorrow. The entire House is going to vote. So, like I said in there, you have your reps, encourage them, tell them why they should have people not too young to run. Initially, it was dropped, I think it was an oversight, and then you vote I don't think it passed through first reading, a second reading in the Senate. That was where it was dropped. But the Senate President and the Speaker met and said, no, this is a good bill. Then they took it again, the Senate took it again. I think it passed in the House, but the Senate had an issue. But they took it again and it now passed. And then last night we met and we agreed that yes, it should be on the table. So let all members in the Senate and in the House vote for it.
All right, how controversial can this bill be? We saw some of the lawmakers, one of them being Dino Melai, saying that the youths are the people that have the capacity to push for this bill, and mentioned lots of ex-leaders that were so young but still led the country. We had Nyako also speaking and encouraging the youths to keep on the move. And finally we had Tony Mulu also speaking and saying that they should not give up the push until they see it passed. Looking at these three lines of thought, and also hearing Chikuma Onyema also saying that the bill was initially not on the table but later reconsidered, tells you there's something controversial, something playing out. And right now we've got in the live studios Ahmed Buhari, one of the stakeholders in the push for this bill, and also someone who knows maybe come 2019 plus more years, he might just become the president. Only time will tell. Good morning. Nice to have you, Ahmed Buhari.
Good morning.
How was looking at this different statement?
Yes.
Especially the last one that said it was not on the table, now it's on the table. Does that give us an idea that probably this older generation, they're not yet in the mood to give you guys a chance?
Again, thank you for having me. But to be honest with you, nobody's going to give you a chance. You have to go out there and grab it for yourself. And so this, for me, this movement is appropriate.
Okay.
It is timely, and I'm excited that we had to take on that march yesterday, because marches like that will create the awareness and the consciousness of the Nigerian youth. Because I've always been an advocate of participation. There's no way you're going to sit on the sidelines and complain and expect anything to happen differently if you do not participate. So if you know you have something exciting, if you know you have a better skill or better system of governance that is going to get this country out of the quagmire that it's in right now, you should step forward. So for me, if the bill was not put on the table and now it's back on the table, I'm not really concerned about what kind of politics might be playing on behind the scenes. But what is most important to me is the fact that it is back on the table, and I am hoping that young people in different constituencies will, talk to their representatives and let them understand that, look, we want this into the past. If you do not pass it, they will get you out.
Okay, now let's look at the fallout of the match yesterday.
Yeah.
Our correspondent who was there, he gave us some feedback when he came back yesterday. He said initially there was the push and everything. People were saying, you guys say that we're not going to listen to any other person apart from the Senate president or the speaker. And then much later we had I think we actually had an issue. Therefore, I think they could have that in the discussion.
Our agitations, but I need everybody to understand this is not against anybody, and as a matter of fact, this is for everybody.
Yes.
Because if we all agree that certain things are not working correctly in the country, then we'll probably start looking for other solutions to see how this kind of thing can be resolved. So when people ask for something, you talk with them, you do not fight them. There's no need to fight anybody. So I expected that, there was no need. It was a friendly protest.
Yeah.
Everybody was orderly, it was calm, and I would like to use this medium to talk to all the security agencies that we have. When there's a protest, do not come with arms. In fact, do not come with arms if the protesters are unarmed.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it is illegal. This is something I would like to push for. Should we get the opportunity to say, when the protesters are armless, when the protesters are peaceful, do not even threaten them with any form of ammunition whatsoever, because it actually agitates people. Either they get so scared or they want to retaliate.
Yeah.
So I think those are the highlights. Those were the highlights for me yesterday.
All right, looking at going back to the last lawmaker that
Yes.
did make it obvious that it was actually out of the table before it was brought back. Does that give us an idea of probably, and the fact that he also went ahead to say, go talk to your rep members to lobby them to make sure they vote? Does that give us an idea to the fact that the older generation, the elites, are probably not really in the mood, and the voting pattern might not favor the agenda being pushed by the youth?
No, that's not true.
Okay.
I wouldn't want them to see it like that. If that's
Okay.
how they see it, then it's actually wrong, because I still think they've got a lot of followership.
Okay.
They've got the popularity. A lot of young people admire them. A lot of young people actually appreciate what they do. However, what this kind of thing does to the polity is, or the democracy in itself, it makes them actually work better.
Okay.
So because when you know the competition is fierce, you want to perform better and ensure that there's no reason for anybody to want to vote you out of office. So in my opinion, as opposed to them thinking that, if these young people come on board, we may have no space in the polity, it's a wrong notion. It is supposed to be, these young people are coming, there's going to be more competition.
Sure.
It is time for us to ensure that we get our act right. Separate the politics from the governance. Ensure that the politics does not interfere in the governance structure. We ensure that we do the projects right. We ensure the budget is set right. We ensure that we do everything that is going to make the people happy. And when we do all of that, when other people come to say, we want to do this, we think we're comfortable with our lawmakers. We think we're comfortable with our structure.
Okay.
But if there's a problem, if there are complaints like the ones we're having, then by all means, it is important that that they get their act together, they get working better, and if they truly have the interest of Nigeria at heart, it will be a thing of joy for them to see newer players come into the setting to see how they can get the system resolved. Because I've talked to a few older people, and again, this is not about young or old people. I think when it comes to governance, it should be capacity, it should be capability. What have you got to offer? Not necessarily whether because you're young. Because you're young doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to make a good administrator. What is most important is, are you ready to rule? Are you ready to lead? Are you ready to serve? Those are the things that are actually apparent, more important to me as opposed to worrying whether the person is old or young. You know, so yeah.
Okay, and then from what you said about yesterday, I asked you if you got your answers yesterday. You said not exactly, it was still the same promise. So what's going to be the next line of action? Are you going to wait for the voting today, according to what the lawmakers said they're going to vote today?
So far, if you've noticed, it's been a peaceful march, it's been a peaceful movement. We've tried to play according to the law. We've tried to play according to the rules. Nobody has done anything outside the existing framework for requesting for things like this. So we're going to wait. We're going to hear the hearing, and we're hoping that it's going to be successful in our favor. And so I don't think there's any reason for anybody to worry so much. And like I said earlier, there were the same promises. So what we expect to see is when the voting goes into the House and it's been voted for as opposed to against, then it will say yes.
So we're still hoping. What if it doesn't fall out in our favor?
Then we'll take the next line of action.
What will be the next strategic line of action if it doesn't work?
If you don't vote them back into office.
That's come 2019.
Exactly.
Then how do you intend to deal with the fact that they've got the money power, they're in charge of the electoral system, and they might have a way to ensure that they remain in power by first inducing the same youth to ensure that the youth back them up and do not continue the campaign?
Unfortunately, money politics is still going to play a role.
Okay.
And that's because there's hunger in the land. So these are the kind of things these are the kind of indices you have to look at and tell yourself things are not working right. So if people know and tell you to the eye, you're not performing, but we're going to vote for you if you give me something in my hands. If even press people actually present on ground say we're not going to take your own comments because you're not going to give us something right here, it tells you there's a lot of problems on the ground. Exactly. So in my opinion, unfortunately, money politics is going to play. But with the 2015 elections, I am very sure most of the people who got into office will tell you that yes, money politics did play a role, but not necessarily the people with the highest paycheck actually got into office. So it's actually wearing out. We're getting more people more politically enlightened, more politically inclined, more aware. So it is dangerous for anybody to think that it's going to be all about money politics. I've met a lot of people in the course of my tour around the country who will tell you that very well that we're going to collect the money, but we're going to do what we want to do. Our conscience has to come first. So everybody has to be very careful. If you're going to be relying on money politics, then I am sorry, I think you'll be disappointed.
All right. Let's say follow-up question. You made mention of your tour around the country.
Yes.
What is it that you and other youths will be bringing to the table that this other, let's say, older generation have not brought or have failed to do that you're likely to bring?
Okay, so basically we've been going around the country carrying on sensitization exercises.
As regards what?
As regards enlightenment programs for young people. Whether it been your relevance in the polity, your relevance in leadership, you need to be responsible, and of course, for me, whatever I want to talk about, if the economy is bad, nothing is going to be working right. So we keep letting them understand that, look, you don't sit down. There are lots of other opportunities that you can actually venture into and see how you can actually better yourself financially. Because our biggest problem is our inability to be financially free. So the fact that we're not financially free, it makes us go into lots of other things that we're not supposed to get into, including violence, including kidnapping, including what have you, all the things that you see around. Even the rough driving you see, it's actually part of the fact that there's no money in your pocket. Because if if you have a good life, if things are working alright for you, you just want to be careful. Everything has to be right. You don't want to die. Exactly.
Because you don't want to miss the goodies.
Exactly. Life is good.
Yeah.
You know, life is good.
I like that.
So we try to make them understand, and then we create a lot of programs. Like, for example, we just initiated the coding for the disabled.
Okay.
You know, I met in the course of my tour, I went to a state, and one of the leader of the disabled people there said to me very clearly that we went to our state governor to let him know that we supported him, and he asked for our votes. We did make sure we galvanized votes for him, but now we've been abandoned, and he said, okay, fine, he's going to get back to us. And then the next week, we got a letter that we've been given appointments to actually sweep roads. And we kept thinking, we are disabled people. How can we be made to sweep roads? You know? And it touched me. So when I got back to base, I said to myself, okay, I'm an IT entrepreneur, and what we've been doing all these years is to, as much as possible, as part of our CSR, try to engage people at different levels, primary, secondary, and tertiary, on different kind of programs that could help them involve themselves into IT and see how they can, you know, create a feature for themselves in that region. So I said, you know what, we're going to include coding for the disabled, which will involve people with disabilities coming to our hub and getting introductory courses on IT, introductory courses on programming, introductory courses on graphic designing. Why I thought about this is because they are already they're not so mobile people. They don't move around so much. So we have to look for something that they can do while staying on the spot. So they can do graphic design, they can do web designing, they can do a lot of things, applications and stuff like that, as long as they have the interest in it. So we've been going around, and a lot of people have been, you know, signing up, and they're interested in actually getting involved. It doesn't matter whether you're a total illiterate. You can actually find a calling in that in that capacity and want to, you know, further yourself. So this is what we do when we go around, and what I think we're going to do differently is simple. It is important for us to understand that as you grow older, you actually get disconnected from the reality, unfortunately.
Yeah, but why is that?
It's natural, you know. Even I myself, sometimes I just take it upon myself. Okay, today I'm going to go on a bike. There are lots of things I see on a bike as opposed to when I'm driving, and there are lots of things I see when I'm driving as opposed to when I'm being driven. So sometimes you have to give yourself a reality check so that you're not so disconnected from the reality. But when you are all AC'd up 247, you cannot understand what is going on in the market. I was in Kano and I went to the Wudil market, and I was disappointed because what you see in the Wudil market is a market that is going to give you an IGR that you cannot even imagine, but because of the structure existing, it cannot do that for you. You just need to do it for the people. Put the right things in place, tax them properly, and the country becomes richer. The same thing when I went to Aba, I saw clusters of people having different clusters of leather making companies, from the shoes to the bags to the belts, and I kept thinking, where do you get your raw materials from? And they started telling me how they source from overseas. Some countries supply them leather, and back here in Kano, you hear Louis Vuitton saying one of his biggest suppliers of leather is Kano. Why can't these two states come together and have a synergy? You know, I keep thinking about these things. If the leather village in Kano and the leather company in Aba could come together, they will be lethal. Louis Vuitton doesn't have to come sell shoes for us at $5,000 per pair. In fact, the lawmakers will be excited to go to one of the states to actually buy these shoes. And then I expect the governor of Abia to actually start constituting research institute for fashion and designing, where people, where the local guys will understand that, look, the shoes that we make that are so pointed are not selling around because a lot of us do not find them attractive. So let's see all the designs that we can actually be interested in. You know, personally, that's how I see things. But nothing is happening. What you see is group of area boys going to the call them tax force, going to the market, collect what they can collect, remit what they want to remit. Nothing is moving.
Okay, now, what would you say is the biggest challenge facing youths in Nigeria? And what will be your message to youths as regards, you know, taking over the political space, as regards being in charge?
It's unemployment. You know, it's unemployment. It's financial insecurity. You know, it's also fiscal insecurity. All of these things play a major role in how our lives turn out. You know, so when we start thinking of how to make our youth more entrepreneurial, concerned, aware, participatory, you will find naturally that they become better people. They become self-sufficient. They don't give you trouble. Nigerians don't want too much. We just want the basics. I mean, this is the second year we're going into the third year of this administration, and I was so sure by now. I promised people that power was going to be resolved by now. Yeah, but we're still having hitches.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I think we definitely need as a people, and we're not going to be having all this kind of agitations. As a matter of fact, if everything was working well, I promise you the Not Too Young to Run bill wouldn't even be on the table.
If everything was working well.
All right, just out of curiosity,
yes.
I know your name is Ahmed Buhari.
Yes.
Does that play any role?
In what?
The Buhari name.
Play any role in what?
In your political ambition?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not, Mr. Momodu. It's the same way that we probably would have had. Right. It's the same way we probably would have had a Momodu some years ago in charge of an office, and then you come up from a different background and you're expecting to go there, and people start referring to that guy and say,
But do you think it's going to be a plus at the end of the day if peradventure you decide to go?
Two things in my head thinking right now. Nigerians should first of all treat every individual as an individual.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, there are, like I keep saying, there are just two kinds of people: the good and the bad. So it has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with tribe. It has nothing to do with social status. It just has to be good person and bad person. So we should be asking those deep questions. Who is this person? What has antecedent? What has it done in the past? Has it been related to anything that our laws do not agree with? And then the second thing, maybe the president should give me a chance to actually redeem the name.
All right. Okay. All right. But why should the president do that and not the people?
It's not really about the president, really. It's about the people. Like I said earlier, they should not attach it. And then the second note, I said, well, maybe he'll be saying, okay, fine, I give up. I love this guy. He's the younger one. And let's see what he can do. Let me not bother them.
All right. My final question will be looking at the Not Too Young to Run movement.
Yes.
For you, do you think they've done enough, or they still have some more things they need to push forward to ensure that this campaign is successful? And when it's successful, what's the guarantee that they're going to push on and not allow the elite hijack this process?
Good question. Best question so far. Sorry. So this is what I think.
All right.
The march is going to continue.
Okay.
Even when the bill gets passed, I expect that the Not Too Young to Run movement will start demanding for accountability from our elected officials. And I expect that more young people will become more politically inclined, more politically aware, ask the right questions, and at this very, very crucial time, we should be ready to separate ourselves from all those things that have always divided us: religion, ethnicity, social status, political affiliations, and just focus on good governance. We should be ready to ask for accountability, transparency, and efficiency from the people that we elect. We should not be scared of them. We actually elected them. We should make them understand that the power lies in our hands, and our ability to remove them is like this.
Okay.
So those are the things that I expect the Not Too Young to Run movement to continue, because it will die naturally if, okay, the bill gets passed, so what next? So I think when the bill gets passed, the next thing is to start demanding for the relevant things that will help the country move forward.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for being on the show this morning.
Thank you.
At this point, we'll end this segment of this interview, and the show continues right after now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you know that PTV remains a